JBR Podcast.
Wake up and check it out.
Where music and life connects. Let's go.
Is that better?
Yeah, that looks better.
I think that's by sitting in front of it, it'd be okay.
Yeah, you'll be good.
Now, is this a live podcast or
No, it's not live. We're live with each other.
So you're gonna So you're gonna tell me because Ann wanted to see it. She wanted to hear it and see it and all that stuff.
Yeah, no. I'll edit this up when we're done, and I'll get it out and share some links, and then everybody will get to see it.
All right.
So we're just going to get started. Let everyone know we got the famous Russell Jackson in the house on the podcast.
I don't know about all that famous stuff, but it means I'm getting old.
Oh, come on, man. You know it. I'm not even set up right yet. Here, hold on. I got fucking screen so I can look at you a little bit better here.
I turn this volume up without turning something off. Okay, I think I got it now. Yeah.
There you go.
Technology, man.
I know. Shit, we didn't have that stuff when we were touring in the 90s, did we?
No, we didn't even have cell phones.
No, it was freaking calling cards. I remember those days, man. So what's going on, man? Like everybody already kind of knows who you are and some of the things you've done, but let's hear the stories of how you got started in bass, and you can talk up to the time how I taught you how to slap the bass and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what, man? I started. It was back in high school. I was singing doo-wop, but I always sing the bass lines for my harmonies, right? And the guy would look and say, "No, man, sing this note here, sing this." And I'd be like, "Doo-doo, boo-doo, 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 boo-doo," Anyway, so it was always in me. It just took. That's when I was, I guess, around 15 or 16, and I noticed the bass player. We put a little band together in high school, and the girls always gravitated toward the bass player, right? So I'm like, okay, that's cool.
I want to play bass.
Well, yeah, he was getting all the pretty girls, and so I'm like, okay, that's cool. I can do that, but I could always sing the bass notes. That was the funny thing about it, right? Anyway, so I got out of high school in '72 and went straight into the Army. And when I turned, I guess turned 20, 2 years later, I decided I wanted to be a bass player. So I got me a bass. And back in the days, it was a 78s, put on a record and started learning to play what I heard the bass player doing on there, And as time went on, I spent 12, 14 hours a day because I was a, pretty late bloomer and started playing when I was 20, right? So that's why I kind of got into it. Then I got to where I didn't want to do anything but play bass. I was supposed to be going to the party. We would go pick my girlfriend up and supposed to pick her up at 8:00. And I started playing bass and look around and say, "Where you at?" 10:00 later. I thought, I'm sorry. Don't call me no more, So I just got into playing, man. I really started to like it. And then I found I could make money at it. Oh, man. That took me right out of the streets.
What was the first band you made money with?
First band I made money was in my last year in the military, where I hooked up with this drummer, Tony Coleman. You know Tony. And we started playing around Fort Riley, Kansas, in a little Army band. And we kept venturing further and further out, like Junction City, Kansas is located about 2 hours from Kansas City. So we started playing from between Kansas City and Fort Riley in little bitty, I guess, juke joints, you call them back, from the day. And started making my little $50 a night. Plus I had my Army's money coming from the Army that I was still in there. So that's how I kind of started playing for money. And I found out if I got good at it, then maybe I would, make a lot of money.
So what year did you what year was this?
This was for what? So I
For
started playing.
yeah, when you and Tony were doing your
Oh, this is in. I went into the service in 72. 74 is when I met Tony. Right. I had a year left in the army, and he had 2 years left. So we started playing around for Riley. I went and bought a bass, and I knew I learned how to play two songs, um, "Chameleon" and "Just My Imagination." Temptations.
yeah.
Anyway, so one day I got on the military bus on Fort Riley, and I was going up to the rec room where they had these little big cubicles where they'd have a drum set, a keyboard, a guitar amp, and they'd have a bass amp. So the military guys, the soldiers, could get together and jam, the ones that played music, right? And I sitting there and be playing, thought my shit was really good. I'd be playing Chameleon, then guys come in, you play bass? Yeah, man. I play drums. Okay. We jam. Then, guitar player come in and a piano player, and we jamming. And after a while, we jam for about maybe half an hour on one song. They say, you know any more songs? I said, yeah, man. I know this one here. And I start playing Just My Imagination. We jammed that for half an hour. There was only two songs I knew. Then they say, like, you know songs? No. You know this song? No. Then they get up and leave. But I sit there and play and jam um, until the next group of guys come in. And I do the same thing to them, right? Anyway, so one day I met Tony, and I used to take the bass, and I wouldn't put it in the case. I'd have it strapped on me. I don't know if you remember, I guess Jimi Hendrix used to strap his guitar and hang it behind him or whatever. And anyway, I saw Tony, and hey, man, you play bass? I said, yeah, man, I play bass. He said, well, me and the guitar got a band together, and we're going to come up to the rec room tomorrow at 5 o'clock. We're going to jam. I said, okay. So I got to the rec room, did the same thing with them, played my little two songs. um, they like, you know this song? No. You know that song? No. And the guitar player really good. He say, man, this motherfucker don't know that, man. I'm gone. Bye. Tony would leave. So anyway, long story short, I started learning songs then. And it took me a while when I first started out because I just didn't have, I taught myself. And I got the more I sit down with records and learn, the faster I got at learning records, right? And back in those days, we had radio, but radio would play nothing but the 60s cover stuff and, rock and stuff. So I would start trying to play bass with the radio. And the radio, play a song maybe every 6 hours or whatever. So I tried to learn how to hear and play the song before it went off, the recording went off and everything. Anyway, I got pretty good at that. So that was my whole thing. I learned to play from listening to records, and that's pretty much the way I play today. Because I don't consider myself one of those fancy bass players that can none of that stuff. I learned how to groove, and I learned how to get my tone nice and rich. And after that, it was like, okay, we played around Fort Riley. Tony got out in 1975. We moved to Chicago, and that's when everything started. That's when the reality hit.
And how did it hit?
Well, the sax player in the band around Fort Riley, he was from Chicago. So we figured, sorry about that. Anyway, he said, man, y'all come to Chicago, we can put our little army band together. We had guys in the band. Two of the guys were from New York. One guy was from Kansas City. One guy was he was from Chicago. And then Tony and I, he said, yeah, man, we put the band together in Chicago, man. We can make it go and make it big, Anyway, so we bought into that. So in let me see. Tony got out. I got out in '75. Yeah, and Tony got out in '76 actually. And then we moved to Chicago. I saved up my money, got me a bass amp, a bass guitar, got me a car, and me and Tony loaded our shit up to off to Chicago. We get to Chicago, and by the time we got there and stuff, the sax player got married, and he started working for Ford Motor Company. So he's kind of putting music to the side. That left me and Tony kind of like, uh-oh, we in Chicago, what we gonna do? That whole bit there. And when we first got there, we didn't really have a place to stay, so we were sleeping in the car. And this is in December. Yeah. Anyway, so we persevered that, and it just so happened to show you how things work, man. The sax player's wife come from a singing family, 8 sisters, and they all sang in church. And one of the girls was backup singer for Otis Clay. And fate has it, Otis Clay needed a bass player and a drummer that could play like Otis Clay was more soul music and blues. We didn't know anything about the blues. It was pretty sad. And we started playing with Otis. But the only thing that saved us, Tony and I could listen to a record and we could play it just like the record. And that was gold because that's what most singers and anybody out front want the band to do behind them is to play what they recorded. Then you add your personality here and there. So the reputation got around Chicago, especially for me. If you want a bass player to play your record, that boy right there, he'll play your record just like your record. That was a big thing back in them days. Because them guys, I hear guys playing today, and they play around the groove on the record. Like they're too good to stick to a groove, right? Anyway, that got to be gold, and people started calling us up, calling Otis Clay, saying, "Hey, can I use your bass player and drummer?" That's how I got a chance to play with Buddy Guy, believe it or not. Back in 1977, I filled in for his bass player one night. His bass player got drunk, and he called Otis up. He called Otis up, seriously, called Otis up and said, "Well, can I use your bass player, blah, blah, blah." And Otis said, "Yeah, man." And then I'll never forget it. Um, Went in the club, and I was green, man. By that time, I'd been in Chicago about 6 months, so I had learned a little bit more blues. And I did filled in for the gig with Buddy Guy one night. Um, but I guess that's to say that's where my education came from, because if you didn't play the right stuff, they just get bass players was like a dime a dozen in Chicago, and all of them could play good, you know. But at the time I was starting to play, Stanley Clark and Jaco Pastorius came out, and bass player was just going nuts. I mean, I know guys back in the '70s that were playing like Jaco and Stanley around Chicago. That was a big thing to do. But me myself, I just stuck to the groove because I wanted to eat. And if you ever had a meal that consisted of a Coca-Cola, a candy bar, huh? No,
And what was it,
no,
Bacardi
just a
151 or something like
Coca-Cola.
that? Was that the other drink you had, the
That
Bacardi?
that was my dinner and sometimes lunch and breakfast.
Oh,
In other
okay.
words, being very poor around there. I mean, man, we were so hungry. One day we went to the Burger King place and begged the girl to give us a hamburger because we didn't have. I think hamburgers were maybe 75 cents back in those days. 80. They wasn't even. I don't think they were $1, but we didn't even have $1 buy a hamburger. Went in Burger King, walked right up to the counter, ordered some food,
Crazy.
And the girl just felt sorry for us a couple of times. That worked, but it was a struggle, man. It was a struggle, but I was determined to play bass for a living, right? And there was a lot of other stuff in between there. Like I can just remember one time, Tony's auntie used to live in Kansas City, right? And this is back when we were at Fort Riley, Kansas. And we went to see his auntie one weekend, so she thought we were some good musicians, so she took us down to this blues club. No, it was the jazz club. It was Coltrane Jazz Club. I forget the name of it, but anyway, all the jazz guys knew her because she used to be dancer, singer, blah blah blah. So she said, "Yeah, these boys, he played bass and drums. Why don't y'all let them sit in?" Well, we sat in. We played about a half song. No, the guy stopped the band
Oh
and said,
shit. And then never
"Y'all
sat
need to
in
go learn
again.
to play the blues." And you talking about hurt? But anyway, man, we like I said, I could tell you, a couple of stories in there where we ran into some stuff, just trying to be musicians, man, just trying to do what we do. Anyway, back to the Chicago thing. That's what really broke for me and Tony, I guess, uh, because when we started playing with Otis Clay, we started getting really good because we were living in the old Chess Record Studio. It's right off of Cermak in Michigan. It's an historical place now, but we used to sleep on that floor in Chicago. And, and underneath the doors, you had cracks about 2 inches
Wow.
where cold air would blow in. So I remember many nights in there on the floor, and Otis had a little bathroom upstairs that had a sink and a toilet. You go up there and do your bird bath. Um, and it was a hustle, man. It was, just trying to
Yeah.
persevere and until we got known or started working a lot around Chicago. And that happened. That happened. It took us about, I would say, about 6 months. And Otis used to play everywhere in Chicago. That was one good thing about it. And you know how much money we were making a night? No, no, it haven't changed much. But
Probably more than we do
we
now.
were making. We will sometimes we make anywhere from $25 to $35 a night. And no, actually, we found. You ever heard of White Castle?
Well, that's not bad if a
Burger?
burger's 75 cents.
They should be little burgers, miniature burgers that cost 25
Yeah, we ate
cents
White Castle a
back in the
lot.
day. So if you made $25-$30 playing that night, man, you could eat
Yeah.
White Castle the whole week, damn. No, moved up.
No more Cokes and chocolate bars.
But you know what, man? It's funny
moving on up.
because we went and tried to get jobs and stuff. As a matter of fact, I landed a job while we were in Chicago. I landed a job at this U.S. Steel place where they produce steel. And my job was to put on this like space suit and direct the crane to pour this hot steel into these things. So I did that for 2 weeks because you had to work 2 weeks before you could make a paycheck, right? And every day I'm thinking, man, what if this crane misdirect and drop this shit on me? I'm done. My music career is over with, right? Anyway, so I remember my 2 week, I guess it was called, so whatever the 2 weeks period was, I got my first check. Oh boy, I had money. I think I had every bit of $125. Anyway, I showed myself. I said, I looked at his check. I said, hey man, what are you gonna do here? Are you gonna play bass, or are you gonna work in the steel mill the rest of your life? Hey, I took that suit off, grabbed my check, I was gone. That was it. And as soon as I made up my mind, uh, playing with Otis, Otis started touring with Otis, going down south, playing in the juke joints, the real juke joints, not none of this where you bring your own liquor and people have uh, 7 Up and Coca Colas and ice there for you, for the people. Going down south, with Otis Clay, and we had a 6-piece band, 3 rhythm, 3 horns. We traveled with a comedian, because back in those days, comedians always opened the show. That was a big thing. Um, and it didn't matter what type of year it was. It'd be winter, snow on the ground, ice on the roads, whatever. And the thing about it was, Otis had a little propane heater in the band, which was dangerous, but that kept everybody warm and stuff. He had one of those huge Dodge vans, right? I'll never forget it. He had a trailer on the back with all the gear in it and stuff, right? Going down south, down to Mississippi and Alabama and Georgia and Florida, playing all the little backwoods places and stuff, man. I caught the tail end of all this. Well,
How did that end out when you what'd you do after playing with Otis?
it's funny because we toured. Otis was touring with everybody. I mean, we go into places and we had to back everybody up. Like if you can imagine, it'd be Bobby Rush, Ovie Wright, Seal Johnson on the bill, and we played for everybody. But Otis was always the headliner. Um, and after playing around Chicago with Otis, we got the reputation for being a good rhythm section. Everybody wanted us to play with him then, but we was pretty much pretty loyal to Otis. So in 1978, we were touring with B.B. King. And at this time, B.B. King had an album out that had been uh, produced by the Jazz Crusaders. That's where Make You Move came from, Midnight Believer, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so BB was starting to change. His music was starting to change. The reason why I'm telling you about this is because this is what led to me playing with BB. Um, the BB's music the Crusaders wasn't 12 bars, but BB's the one that put the blues in it with playing his guitar and singing. Anyway, so we were touring with Otis, and this was like Otis Clay, Albert King, Bobby Blue Bland, Millie Jackson, ZZ Hill. We the only ones riding in the highway. Everybody else had tour buses, of course. Anyway, so I didn't know, and nobody knew at the time, that BB was looking for young musicians that could play his old school and that could play his new stuff. Because his new stuff has some slapping in it. And blues bass players, that was taboo. You mean, the older guys didn't understand the slap stuff, but I understood it. And BB would come out and listen to us play with, cause we were backing up quite a few of these artists at the same time we were, and he would listen to us, and I'm just doing my show with Otis Clay or whoever I'm playing for, and I'm not trying to impress nobody because I just never did that. But anyway, um, the last show we did was in Chicago, and it happened to be, if I remember correctly, I think it was BB's birthday too at the same time. And we played that night. We played for Otis Clay. We backed up Ovie Wright. We backed up Willie Clayton. It was a big show at the Burning Spear, which was on the south side of Chicago. Every black entertainer that was anybody played in the Burning Spear. It was like the Apollo, but in Chicago, you know. And that's where everybody hung out. Al Green, everybody, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so this night we had played, and they had a house band, though. And the band was called the Scotch Brothers. So we had played for people, they had played for people. It was a big party. So at the end of the night, it was getting pretty late. Most of the musicians were drunk. If they wasn't drunk, chasing women. So they asked the Scott Brothers after the whole night was over with, and I think they asked the Scott Brothers would they play a little longer for BB's birthday. And they said, man, fuck this. Are you going to pay us? No, I can't pay y'all no more. Well, we're not going to do it. So he said, you can get Otis Clay's band. They over there, that Otis Clay band over there. Get them boys to play. I'm gone, man. I'm out of here, right? So next, Otis said, hey, man, y'all want to play for the jam? Yeah, we young cats. All the stars out. So, anyway, we started playing, and no, we weren't getting paid for it, extra time or whatever, to get a little $25 and we'd be ready to go. But we started playing, started jamming. All of a sudden, we started playing. I forget the name of the song, but it was kind of funky. So BB jumped up on stage. BB, he jumped on stage. All right, guys, told the road man, go get me Lucille. I want to play with these guys, right? So we were like, oh shit, this is it, man. BB King coming on stage, right? Anyway, so BB turns around and says, hi guys, blah, 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 yeah. He said, do you guys know my 3 o'clock in the morning? Well, hell yeah, I know slow blues. Down, this thing. So at the end of the song, he turned around and said, all right, guys, I like that, right? But by now, between being happy that BB's really listening to us and being afraid he might call a song I don't know, I was kind of torn, but I wasn't leaving. I wasn't going nowhere. Anyway, so then he turned around and said, well, guys, do you guys know my hit record I had out, blah, blah, blah? Thriller's Gone. Oh, yeah, Mr. King. Do. BB got happy, boy. Yeah, doing his thing. So, all right, guys. Do you guys know my latest song? Everybody's playing BB King around Chicago. Make You Move Too Soon. He said, all right, let's give it a try, guys. You sure you can play it? And, that inner confidence in me said, hell yeah, I can kick this bass line. do, 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 do. So we started playing, and at first, he was just out there clapping his hands, he do his hands, and he wasn't playing no self nothing, we were just grooving, holding the one down, grooving, right?
Yeah.
And before I know it, BB was bouncing around, he was having a good time, and he started singing. So I sing the song. Man, listen, everybody in the club got up. It was a different vibe, totally different than what he had done in his show that night. And he said, wow, guys, I really like that, And if you listen to the song, Make You Move Too Soon, in the bass line, when it goes to the turnaround, the bridge, it's got the slap stuff in there. And I hit it. Because they used to call me 10 thumbs anyway. I just want to slap everything, I was slap at. Man, we laid that groove on BB, and he kept turning around looking and said, all right, guys, yeah, right. Anyway, so we were like, yeah, okay, we got to play with BB King. I was happy right then. I could have died with the hell, whatever. I just played with BB King. And I come from Wichita, Kansas. They used to call us country bumpkins.
Hell yeah.
And the joke was, Man, careful, don't let your shoes touch you. You might go back, the whole thing with the Wizard of Oz. And don't let your shoes click together 3 times, you might disappear, blah, blah, blah. And so after jamming with BB, man, I was like, that was confidence. That was confidence booster. And to get a compliment from him, and here's a man that's probably got assets to thousands of bass players, thousands of drummers, blah, blah, blah. So we finished playing, and at the end of the night, Rodman's come down and said, he pointed at me, Tony, and the guitar player. He said, BB King want to see y'all right now. Get right now. Lead up down right now. We flew upstairs, the flight of steps to the dressing room, and BB was sitting there. We walked in, and didn't really know what to say. We just kind of stood, and BB kind of hesitated. He said, guys, I really like what I heard out there. You guys are very good musicians, blah, 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 da, 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 da. And I like for you to keep in touch with him. And he passed his card, but he gave his card to me, right? He said, here's my card, here's my number, call me, such and such a time, blah, blah, blah. So I'm thinking, okay, we grinning from ear to ear. We didn't got a personal invite from BB to call him. Anyway, so the first time I called him, it was, if I remember correctly, he was in New York or whatever. So I figured out the time difference and called him exactly the time he told me to call him. And he gets on the phone because he would never check in the hotel on his own name. He always had a code name. And if you didn't know that code name, you couldn't reach him. So each time I called him and he said, collect call from Russell Jackson because I didn't have no money. That's when you put your dad to pay phone. Anyway, collect call for so and so. He'd have a fake name. And blah, blah, blah. Hey, son, how you doing? You get on the phone. I'm doing great, Mr. King, blah, blah, blah. How's the weather there? It's cold. It's raining, it's snowing. Just, he just, chatting anyway. Well, son, I got to go now. I tell you what, write this number down and call me so and so and so time here, blah, blah, blah. Okay. All right. I ain't no problem. It ain't costing me no money. It just costing me a little time. But what I found out later on, what he was doing, James, was seeing how punctual I was. So if he was in California and they called him at 3 o'clock California time, and I'm in Chicago, wherever he was, I had to figure out the time zone and call him at that exact time. And I think I called him maybe 2 or 3 times. Anyway, long story short, when I called him for the last time, I remember him saying, well, son, I tell you what, you don't mind wearing a 3-piece suit, do you? I said, I don't mind wearing one. I don't own one, but I don't. I tell you what, I want to hire you guys.
Oh,
and when he said that, I want to hire you guys, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking, is this a dream? Is this real? I said, I'm studying on the phone. You want to play with you? He said, yes, that's what I like. Tell you what, tell the guys the bus will be there to pick them up. And it was January 16th. I'll never forget it. The bus will be there to pick y'all up at such and such a time. Be ready to go. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm shocked. Now, see, we used to pull jokes on each other, pranks all the time. That's why you could never prank me when you was in. Anyway, yeah, you did. But I was known as a jokester, right?
I got some good ones in there though.
We always doing stuff to each other. Anyway, so I run back to the house 3 blocks, and I'm running. BB King said he gonna hire us. I break through the door. I'm out again. Hey, Tony, why, man? BB gonna hire us to play in this band? Yeah, sure. Okay, Jack. Yeah, right, man. I said no. I said I'm not bullshit, man. He gonna hire us, man. I'm serious. Man, he said, be here and so and something. Yeah, right. All right. With that shit, right? I'm thinking, they don't believe me. But he was talking about how the three of us, the rhythm section. So I said, yeah, I swear, man. I called BB at this number here, and they still didn't believe me. But later on that evening, what we didn't know at the time, BB had asked Otis about taking us on the road with him. And Otis gave BB the okay, right? So nobody believed me until Otis came and said, I guess y'all heard the news, huh? And then everybody looked at me. I said, yeah, I told you, I went off. Because they didn't believe me. Otis said, well, so it was kind of, we thought Otis was going to like, Otis said, yeah, I told him to go ahead and hire y'all. Y'all going out there and make the money with him. He'll treat you, blah, 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 blah. And we were shocked, man. But Otis, he's just a good person, man. Now, any other guy probably would have hid that from us to keep us around Chicago, right? Anyway, playing around Chicago, them 3 years there, it went through a lot, from sleeping on the floor in Otis in the studio there to staying in this house on the west side where we were sleeping on the floor once again, only they had rats in there. I'm talking about big rats, not no mice, not no mouse, rats. Rats as big as cats. As a matter of fact, we had this one rat in the house we couldn't catch. We just called him Soul Brother. He looked like he had an afro. He was and
So from the time you started playing bass to the time you joined BB's
I
band,
started playing bass in 1974.
less than a decade. It was like 7
April
years.
of 74. I got with BB in January of 79.
So for all those that hate Russell Jackson, this is just another reason
and I had the right attitude. But at the same time, when BB hired us, he hired myself and the guitar player. Tony wasn't in the band right away. Tony came later. But you go to the gig around Detroit, everywhere we went, the old timers in the band said, look here, young boy. Look here, young blood. See that boy over there? See that man? See that guy over there? That's a bass player. See that? That's another bass player. That's another bass player. It'd be about 7, 8 bass players in the club. Because everybody knew that BB was looking for a bass player. And he hired me, right? And you go to the club and they be trying to intimidate you. They be staring you down, looking at you while you trying to play. And I was like, I'd be nervous because, I was 24, man. 24, I'd been playing bass 4 years, but I had to grow up quick because
that's crazy.
When I hit Chicago, if you didn't play, you didn't eat. Simple as that. So you had to do what it took to do these gigs. And that was when you get there. I got the reputation for playing like the record. And I still hang my hat on that right today when I do gigs for other people. I try to get as close to the record, and then I inject some of me in there, here and there. But that's how I end up with BB. And after BB, it just blew up, just blew up. That was after BB.
Yeah, that's when you guys got into the Silent Partners.
I left BB. Well, I had left BB before now. I left after BB in 86. And Tony left, and we put Silent Partners together the year after. And we started out in Sacramento, California. That's where we put Silent Partners together at. And started playing around there and started playing all over, No,
That
Mel
was
Brown was not the
that was
original
with Mel
guitar. The
Brown,
original
right?
guitar player,
Was he the
we were
original
in
guitar
Otis
player?
Clay's band together, was Leonard Gill. We should call him Wine because he used to drink a lot.
Okay.
And Bacardi was his drink. Yeah, ended up killing him too. Yeah, uh, but he was a killer guitar player, and he was a
Oh shit.
fantastic bass player. He really taught me a lot. And the guy that he learned to play bass from was Louis Satterfield. Now Louis Satterfield was the trombone player in Earth, Wind and Fire, who taught Birdie White how to play bass. So Wine taught me a lot on the bass. I learned so much from that cat. I learned how to
Wow.
to to listen properly to bass. I was playing okay, but Wine showed me how to listen to music and really, really bring it all together, right? And so we went out there with BB, and then after BB, we put Silent Partners together. And the original guitar player was Leonard Gill. We had four other guitar players before Mel Brown got there. Let me see if I can remember. Yeah, started out with Leonard Gill and went from Leonard Gill to um, Junior Boy Jones, from Junior Boy to Basti Jackson, Basti, and then we went from there. And Mel Brown was actually the fourth guitar player in Silent Partners. And then after Mel Brown, we had two other guys, and then Silent Partners kind of, did one of those numbers. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, Mel
And then
Brown
you
went
ended
to
up in
Toronto,
Vancouver.
and I came to Vancouver because at that time I was married. I got married to a young lady from Vancouver, and then my daughter was born in '93. So I stayed here. But then we came here, and with the intentions of doing silent partnership in Canada, and we did a few gigs with Powder Blues and some other folks around there. But then Tony went back to the U.S., and then I decided to put my own band together. Yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
you were.
I remember
Uh,
because I was on the scene at
uh,
that time.
so you came in the band in what year? '95. Mm-hmm.
It was
So I had
95.
just
Later in 95, yeah.
together in '93. No, actually,
At least I think it was
let me make
95.
sure I get this right.
That sounds
Well,
about right because I think it was probably
yeah, I
92
tell
or 93. I
you where
met
I go.
you, Ernie White
I
was doing
this,
that
this
thing
young
down at
kid
the
come in
Caribbean when I
at
first met you.
the Caribbean Cafe,
Yeah.
and everybody knew you around Vancouver because you used to love
Yes,
Stevie Ray
in New
Vaughan.
West.
You used to try to play like him, dress like him, and stuff. I see some pictures of you. Anyway, so when I went to the jam session at that little Caribbean Cafe, do you remember what how you approached me one night, not knowing my background?
Yeah, I
You
know. Yeah, I
man, can you play
remember.
some Stevie?
Total idiot. I was a
I
total
said, I
idiot.
just looked at you, and I said, yeah, I can play some Stevie. I said, well, what you know about Stevie? Well, I can play some of his songs. You really, I don't know, I don't think you were scared, but you were just a little hesitant, right? Anyway, I said, sure, I know some Stevie. I said, what songs you do? And you was doing pretty much, you was doing Scuttlebutt, you was doing Mary Had a Little, you was doing all of Stevie, not knowing that I had played with Stevie back in the Antone days, right? So
Yeah.
I think I asked you what key. Just tell me what key you're in,
Yeah, I
and
had no
you
idea.
looked at me like, does this guy really know this? He's kind of. You gave me the look like he's kind of old. I wonder if he knows this. So, and I remember I met your dad at the same time, but anyway, so we get on stage, and you still haven't stopped looking at me in a peculiar kind of way. I guess you was waiting to see what I was gonna do, and we fired it up, and we played about 4 or 5 Stevie songs, and you were like, yeah, man, yeah, yeah. And anyway, I ended up talking with your dad, and because he was wondering like where this guy come from, right? But see, what you don't realize was you had a reputation around Vancouver of doing Stevie. So a lot of the older guys didn't want to be bothered with you because that's how you come, but you do Stevie, right? Anyway, so but I saw something a little different. I heard Stevie, but it was the way you played it, right? I said to myself, okay, this young guy here, okay, he got something going on there. Hmm. I think you were what, 17, 18? How old were you then? I know
Yeah, I would
you
have
weren't supposed to
been,
be, you weren't old enough to be
yeah,
in clubs. You could be
16,
in
early
clubs, but you had to be
17
so
when we
many
first
feet
met.
away from alcohol or whatever. And I,
Yeah,
but
well, the
what?
first year
I
I
tell
toured with you, I
everybody
wasn't allowed to be in the
after
clubs
talking with your
down
dad, I
south.
think I came down there a couple more times. We jammed together, blah blah blah. I said, "Hey man, I want to take your son on the road with me." And Bub's like, "Well, it's okay with me, but you got to talk with his mother." I said, "I do." He said, "Yeah, you got to talk with her." I said, okay, I'll do it. And do you remember the day I came over to y'all's house, and I had to ask your mother, "Can I take you on the road?" And I'll never forget as long as
Yeah.
I live. I said, "Miss Rogers, I want to take you on the road." And blah 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 blah. She turned around and she looked and she pointed at my face. You better not let nothing happen to him. and I never forget. I looked over at your dad, and he was just kind of like, "Well, that's I ain't got nothing to do with it." And when you got on the road with me, I started turning on the Johnny Guitar Watson. You already had the Albert King thing in you. I started turning you on to all the guys that I had working around Chicago, and before you know it, bam, you just blew up.
Yeah, I always tell people, it's like growing up as a kid and playing a lot of the Stevie Ray Vaughan rock blues things, and kind of shifting in the rock scene because
Yeah,
of that. It was
Jo-
like my real indoctrination to the blues was when I joined your band, because the diversity in the songs we played, and then everything we listened to in the vehicle was just like fucking overload, right? There's only two things I didn't like
oh yeah,
about listening to music when we toured, because I toured with you. We toured a lot for those 5 years. Was when you brought Tom Gould into the band, and we had to listen to
there's
his fucking saxophone albums, like 3 hours of like, I was ready to bang my head against the
yeah. I don't
wall.
know what y'all did with my album
And the other
between
one
you and
was your fucking Lou Rawls albums.
I.
No, I'm going to confess to you here on this podcast what happened. Okay, I can't remember where we were, but we
Uh-huh.
were heading from one gig over to, I think it was the
Ru-
Top Hat in Missoula,
Rock and
Montana.
Rudy's.
And they had that record store. Was that the
Yeah.
place that they had that
Yep.
big record store? Was that in Missoula?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so there was that big, massive place. It was just like the biggest record, CD, whatever store that there
I
ever
know.
was.
Yes.
And we had left, and you had left we had these little booklets with all the CDs in them, right? You left those in the hotel. We didn't fuck with that stuff. We didn't hide it on you or throw it away or anything like that. Legitimately, I guess, just got lost on its own. At least I had no part in it. If it was the other guys in the band, then that's on them. But when we got there, I remember getting out of the van first, and I said to Ivan, I said, I got to get to the Lou Rawls section because I know you wanted to get all your shit. And I went to the Lou Rawls section, and there was like 15 fucking albums, and I picked them all up, and I went and took them all in the country section because I knew you weren't going to look there. And that's when you were like, all the shit they got in here, they got no Lou Rawls.
Well,
I just couldn't take it anymore. I was like, no more Lou Rawls.
that one of my favorite.
So I confess
Blues
that's why I
albums he
couldn't
did,
find Lou
that he
Rawls
did.
in Missoula at that
That one of my
record
favorites.
store. I beat you to them.
But man, we spent a lot of money in that record shop.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, no, he was
Man,
good, but
they had everything.
you know. Oh, I know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a real live Spotify. No subscriptions for that one. So yeah, we
Yeah.
I played, a lot of people watching will know we played 95 to 2000 when I got out, and you're still cranking away doing
Well, you know what?
your RJ thing, and
I got to this point in
a lot of other
my career,
projects,
in my life,
in
that I do projects
the
that I enjoy
2000s.
doing, because I'm not out there chasing like I used to. I don't have to do all that stuff anymore. I can pretty much sit back, pick and choose, and just smell some of the roses. Man, I turned 70 this year, so I'm not gonna do it like a lot of them guys. Just work their ass off and then they fall over and go,
Wow.
dead to be done. I'm gonna enjoy life as I go, and that's pretty much what I've been doing. It's funny because
Mm-hmm.
I started maybe about 10 years ago. I got into this mode, you know, uh, when I kind of moved back to Houston, uh, doing the BB King band thing and all that stuff, right? Uh, I just said, I don't have to win any awards. Like I've been nominated 9 times for that Maple Blues BS, you know. But I don't need any of that to validate me. If I'm comfortable in my own skin and what I do, and I know I've done it on all different levels, you know. And now it's just having fun, man. Just having fun, you know.
Yep. So how did things work coming out of COVID? Like, because I know things obviously, especially here in Canada, things have just been drying and drying over the years and getting
Yeah.
worse and worse. But you're in a different situation because of your history and your reputation and your so many people that like I've seen pictures on Facebook. You're sitting in with Bonnie Raitt and all these big name artists and stuff, and doing you're doing stuff with the guys you knew from BB's band, plus you're doing your Russell Jackson band thing, like you got your irons in a lot of fires. But how did COVID
It did, but you know what? You'd
work
have
for
been
you?
proud
Because
of me
it shut
because
everybody down, and then
what I
some
did
people
in
kind
the
of
first
came
2
in and
years,
some didn't.
first year and a half or so of COVID, I got my little studio down here. I got set up, and people was flying tracks into me, and I was doing bass lines and flying them back out. So I got into that. I had to learn how to be an engineer and do all that crap. Uh, I did that for a while, but what really hurt was the BB King band was just cranking
Mm-hmm.
up. We had that Soul of the King came out #1 on the Billboard Blues chart. We had uh,
The bi-
8,
yeah.
9 week tour set up across U.S. and then we were going to Europe for a month for 6 weeks. We had all that planned out, man. We had a good band. I recruited Will Crosby on guitar. who he used to play with Aretha Franklin and the Staple Singers, blah, blah, blah. We had a tight rhythm section. We had a good band. And COVID wiped all that out. And you know, if you have a record come out, if you don't get behind it, it starts to fall. We stayed on the chart for about a year. And then, you know, we kind of fell off because we couldn't tour behind it, couldn't promote it. Although we started doing a few little casino things here and there with Tito and some other folks, right? But it was pretty rough, you know. And like I said, I started working out of my home here, doing stuff, and I had to learn how to be an engineer. But I did it. You know what I mean? I did it. I said, shoot, I can do this.
Yeah.
But I had no choice. I mean, I sit down here and practice, learn the song. I was going stir crazy. I got into I started blowing shuffles on the bass. You know, just had a lot of time on my hand, man, but it was pretty devastating, you know.
Yeah. And now what's going on for you? I know we talked, you know, when we talked
man,
about this pod here that we're going to try and
because I didn't know Ivan was back in Vancouver until you told me. I think it was you that told me that.
Yeah, I think I haven't talked to him in a bit, but I think he's around.
Jerry Cook played with me for a while back in the days.
He's around too, and
I was telling him about it. He said, "Yeah, man, we ought to get together, man." You know, and is Winnie still playing?
For sure. Yeah, Winnie's still playing. He's actually told me he's playing drums. I did the music fest there in New West, I don't know, I guess last summer or something. And he had come out and, you know, he said he's got a little band together and they're more of a garage kind of thing. I'm not sure they're gigging or playing any venues or anything.
Who else
is
around there that I might know? Yeah. Oh, you know what? I saw a video with what's his name? Dave Webb was on it.
That played in your band back in the day, or?
Yeah, we had to get together and do a
Dave Webb. Yeah, he's still kicking around.
Yeah. RJ reunion. Everybody played with.
RJ BJR. Might be a good marketing strategy there. Yeah, no, the scene's not too bad out here. You know, there's a good crowd. It's not in the city like what we remember it with the Yale, the Fairview, downtown. Everything's in the burbs. You know, there's kind of like a little scene in South Surrey, White Rock. They got a few venues and things going on there. But then I'm on the other side of the river, east side. Yeah, well,
last time
Mission.
You were at
Maple
you just
Ridge.
moved into
I think
this is when your girls were little though. It's been a while. Oh, you in Maple Ridge?
Yeah, no, I'm in Maple Ridge now.
Yeah,
in the Albion area, just up from Kingfisher's pub. So yeah, you come out here. There's good, you know, we could probably string something together that could fill up a week, you know, and which would be like one nighters because there's no,
I'm gonna see if
you know, 6
this.
night a week gigs ananymore.
Remember we used to work the ski resorts a lot, right? So remember this year I told you guys, I said, hey man, we're gonna do like 4 or 5 straight months. That's when everybody was doing 5, 6 nights. And I asked you guys, I said, you guys sure you want to do this? Oh yeah, man, yeah. And I remember we got into about maybe the second month or so. You guys are so tired.
Oh fuck! Like touring with you is like it's either gonna make you or break you. You know, Because I want to tell people, like, and I've said this many times, so some people watching this might have already heard me say this story. Said one of the craziest things after I joined your band that happened where I remember playing in Whistler on a Wednesday night. And we played till like 2 a.m. because the gigs would go till 1 or 2. It'd take us 2 hours to get paid and pack out and load the van up. And we fucking drove to Missoula, Montana. It was that place. It was like fucking 15, 16 hours. I swear to God, we just like got into town and had enough time to set up and start playing. And then we played that gig on, so it would have been Thursday night in Missoula, Montana. We played till 2 a.m.
Yep.
We packed up and drove and played a gig in Rapid City, South Dakota on the Friday night. And then the Saturday night, we played in Kansas City.
Yep.
It's like in 4 nights, we played 4 shows and drove halfway across North America.
That's when I was chasing.
Or longer. It was,
you know what I'm saying?
It was like,
and by doing all those, we used to do those ski resorts all across. And then we used to do the big bike rally down in Sturgis. That's what you're talking about. We'll do that. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There was some crazy touring, but you know, that's where I think, like, for myself, it took that kind of, you know, effort to really hone your skills. So, you know, when you were saying, you know, you really learned your shit when you were playing with Otis Clay, it's like, I get that, because I feel like I really learned mine playing with you. Because when you're playing 6 nights a week and, you know, we were, you know, playing gigs with all these, you know, for me, like these big names that you had made connections with back in, you know, your early days, all these different songs thrown at you. It was like, man, if you don't learn to, you can like me all day long and think I'm a great person,
man,
but if you're not cutting it on the stage,
that's why I said earlier, I don't chase like that anymore. You know, it was good for the time while I was there, because you learn a lot about yourself out there, man. And then when you start doing your own thing, you see, you have a total different feel for stuff, right? And I learned it that way because that was the only way it was brought to me. I mean, with BB, 300 nights a year, man. Sometimes we do like 30 or 40 one-nighters in a row.
That's crazy.
You know? And it's just something you did and you didn't question it, because you wanted, either you did it or you could go home and somebody else was right there to do it, you know. And that's why I kind of got my work ethic from the BB King thing more so than anybody else. And BB wasn't the type that would play that superstar thing. He'd ride the bus with us for 12 hours when he could easily have gotten on a plane, you know. And that's a different respect you learn from watching that, being in that atmosphere from pretty much day one of your professional career. Although I learned a lot of stuff when I was on the road with Otis too, but it was a different game with BB, because BB was the top of the mountain, you know. Yeah. After you play with BB.
Doesn't get
everybody
any bigger
remembers
than
you
that.
from that, and then everybody wanted to have that. You know, all the greats want you to play with them or record. And see, at one time, I'd say between '87 until I moved to Canada. I moved to Canada in '91, maybe '90. Tony and I were the top blues rhythm section. It was 3 rhythm sections: Albert Collins rhythm section, and then Silent Partners. We were doing all the recordings for Alligator Records and Antones in between, you know, in that time span. And we came close to going on tour with ZZ Top back in those days too, because Billy Gibbons was Goo over Mel Brown, you know. He just loved Mel Brown and being a power trio too, but it never developed. These kind of fell to pieces for whatever reasons, you know. my phone needed to be plugged
What the
up.
fuck are you
It was
doing
running
over
low.
there? You falling over or
I
what?
forgot to play it.
No, it's all good, man. No, man, we got so many. Well, just like the times I've spent with you, which
Man,
is
I
a short
I
snippet of
kinda
your
skipped
career.
around
Like, there's
because
just so many
I remember a lot of the
stories.
stories, but
They're just
to put them in
endless.
chronological order is a little different. That's why 1 minute I'm over here to show you. But one thing I took away from all, I've never been
Yeah, who
afraid of hard
cares?
work. You know.
Do you- No, well, I'll contest to that. I don't know if there's anybody that's worked that hard that I've ever seen. But do you remember this story? You remember, like, you spend so many
Yeah.
hours in a vehicle driving between gigs and, eating a lot of fast food and, foods that you kind of got to get into the van and you got to go. I don't know if you know where I'm going to go with this.
Monopoly thing.
When we were traveling around and
Yeah.
I convinced
6
you
months.
on McDonald's.
It might have been longer than that. We trying to win that Monopoly money. And you know what?
Have you ever eaten
I
it
will
since?
never go to McDonald's again as long as I live. When we got through with that, well, you talked me
tell
into,
people why.
you
You gotta tell
convinced
people
me
why. What did I ruin
that
for you?
because we were touring all over the U.S. and Canada, we could win this Monopoly thing because we had the advantage of being in different states
Yeah.
and different countries. We just knew we was gonna hit that $1 million, whatever it was, jackpot, because we ate religiously. Now, I remember about 6 months. It might have been longer than that. In McDonald's trying to win this damn Monopoly thing, and we never would win shit. I think
Yeah, I remember because it was like, I think we had like Park Place and we needed Boardwalk. It was just the two, and it was like, you win $1 million if you get it. And I'm like, come on, man, like, that they're sending Park Place on the West Coast and Boardwalk on the East Coast. We're traveling all between. If we just hit all the McDonald's, like,
no, fuck that.
it's out there, we're gonna get it.
And I even used to talk about it, because he was always a little health freak in the band. He had the berries and the nuts and all that stuff. We be eating hamburgers and fries and malt, trying to win the damn. But yep.
He had that fucking rice cooker he would cook in his room, and we get kicked out of hotels and shit. And they're like, "Who's cooking?"
Yeah, I remember a couple of times,
He's
man.
got like all the sauces, and
I mean,
shit in the hotel room.
You can tell me if you remember this one with this farting going on. You and Tom Gould, right? So one of y'all would cut one.
The van
It
just
was a
smelled
big
like
lab,
ass.
but we'd let the windows down. It was 90 below outside. And Ivan was getting so mad. I used to say, damn, man, somebody probably shit in their pants or whatever. So I said, okay, I'm going to get me some chocolate milk. I'm going to drink a whole shit, and I'm going to show you. And sure enough, I drank that chocolate milk. And you guys were like, oh, man, no, stop the band.
Oh fuck. I felt bad for Tom Gould. I'm gonna have to send him this pod now that we're talking about him, because he really took the shit end of the stick in that band. Like when he came in, because we did a trio there for a while, and then you brought in Tom on the sax for the 3 plus a half, right? And and like there's so many times I remember when he first got in the van, you were I'm not sure if you were up or sleeping in the back. Tom was in that seat behind the driver passenger, and I was in the passenger seat, and or no, Tom was in the passenger seat. I was sitting behind Ivan, and he was driving. And we had fucked with him and said, "Okay, it's time to go." And then Ivan's like, "Yeah, grab." So I reach over, and we're driving down the interstate. Like cruise control's on. We're doing like a $120, and I hold the steering wheel, and Ivan undoes his seatbelt, and he goes to stand up like this, right? And Ivan was smaller, so he could kind of get his leg going up. And Tom looks over and goes, "What the fuck you guys doing?" I said, "We don't have time to stop, man, but Ivan's getting tired, so I got to drive," right? And we were like, we're going to switch out driving at 120K, right?
Yeah,
the look on his face, like I thought he was going to have a heart attack, right?
yeah.
Oh yeah, we fucked with him so many times. To this day, every time I see him, he's like, "Remember those times you fucking with me over?"
Something to somebody. I got
there's
one
probably
for
a
you.
million stories of that.
Remember up there in where was it? Where all the snowboarders used to come. The Hotel North. Anyway, you was shooting pool, taking these guys' money. And it was in I can't think of the name of the little place.
Oh yeah,
No,
fuck yeah.
Purdy. Let me see. And remember
that was
those
in
guys
Montana.
was this really supposed to be the
Fernie,
toughest
that's
guy
right,
in
Fernie.
the damn city was gonna try to jump on you because you kicked his butt playing pool and took his money, right? And so they was out there, they was down in front of the stage,
Yeah.
pointing at you and stuff like this, and I'm thinking to myself, all I could hear was your mom saying, "You better not let nothing happen." I'm like, so I stopped the band and I told the bouncer guys, "Hey man, I want you, and you out of there right now." I said, because and y'all ain't doing nothing to this boy up here unless you come through me. You gotta come through me. And I don't care if you supposed if one little kid he was kind of stuck, he was like, I said, "Yeah, I'll take you out first." Right. All I could hear was your mom saying, "You better." Oh hell yeah.
You're more scared of my mom than fighting 3 fucking guys in the bar.
But yeah, I wouldn't have let nobody. And the time I had to get on that guy up there in Montana about Ivan. Remember the guy that Ivan's beer, and he come through the door drunk.
Yeah.
And we were loading up. Everybody was having a beer at the end of the night, blah blah blah. And he tried to take Ivan's beer, and Ivan let him, so he ended up spilling the beer over me, and I got wind of it. And I came in there and kind of broke it up, blah, blah, blah. I said, "Hey, man, you leave these guys alone, blah, blah, blah." And I turned around, and the guy lunged at me. And for whatever reason, that Vietnam stuff I've been trained from the military kicked in. And you described it. It was funny because you described it. You said, I grabbed this guy and slammed him and was on him. And I locked in. I was choking him. He was turning blue. And all it was what 3 or 4 of y'all trying to get me off of him, but
yeah, I remember.
And
right
then I heard Ivan say,
"Throat,
Russell, think of your daughter, Janella." Boom. And that's when I kind of came back to him like, holy shit. And you were looking at me like you were like, holy shit, where'd you learn that from? Because you're a black belt in the karate. And I didn't know, you told me what I'd done to this guy. Because I didn't remember anything. That's that Vietnam training came back at me just like that. Because he had lunged at me and I turned around and caught him in midair or something like that and brought him down. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you grabbed him by the throat and just picked him up like he was a child and slammed him down, right?
Yeah,
like, holy shit.
I think he must have weighed about 210 or something like that.
He looked like he weighed twice as much as you did.
That was just a reaction. And I didn't, and until you told me how I did it and stuff,
big.
I didn't remember nothing. But I do remember I was saying, because y'all couldn't pull me off, but I had locked in. I had cut him off here, and he was turning purple.
Do you remember the time? I can't remember where that was, but you remember the time in Des Moines, Iowa? Two things stand out to me there. One, when Ivan let his hair down out of his ponytail and was leaning with his little biker shorts, and the guy smacked him in the ass because he was standing.
Yes, I do remember that.
We're like, time to cut your hair, buddy. Yeah, and then when I had those hot wings at the end of the night, and you're like, oh, I forgot to eat dinner. Can I have them? I'm like, yeah, sure. Take a couple wings. You down those wings. You're like, holy fuck, these are hot. I need some of this. Like, here, and I go, here, have a couple carrots. They'll help you cool down. But they were like pickled, like Tabasco hot. Like they were I love hot stuff. I wouldn't even eat those fucking things. They were so hot. And I'm like, here, you take them. You ate those things. And I always knew when you were pissed off at me because you would look back and you would be like, James Rogers. You'd call me like my full name, right?
But
you're like, man, those wings are hot. I need to cool down. And then you ate
remember
those
you were
super
doing
hot
the
carrots
barbecue
and I thought you
thing,
were gonna
sauce
die.
thing? You don't realize that. Remember, we used to go to Gates Barbecue all the time in Kansas City?
Yep.
That's what I know. And when I first did it, I told
That's what it was
Ann,
based after.
man, this dude, I don't know how you
Yeah.
remember that, because we used to eat barbecue all the time down here anyway. But that was the closest I ever had to that sauce, man. And I don't know if you realized it or not when you had made it. It was like, he remembered that stuff. May I help you? When remember we walk into the joint, they said,
Oh, I know. I know. That place was so racist. The only white person working there was taking out the trash. Like, legit. That was the greatest place. Man, they had this big sign. Like, it was like a massive sign. It was probably, I don't even know how many feet wide. And maybe like 5 feet high by 10 feet wide, the side. And all it said was like, chicken on a bun, beef on a bun, and yummy yammer pie. Like, there was this like 99% like black cork board with like 3 inches of white lettering.
That was Gates Barbecue, man.
And I was like, why do you need this board so big if that's all you got?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They had the greatest
I remember
food,
when I
though. Their
first took you
food was
guys
just
in there, you guys were
unbelievable.
scared.
I hear
because
it's
there were
not
all these
quite
black
like
people
what it
in
was
there.
back then.
And I had to teach her how to order from the menu because they had all these different side dishes and ribs and this, that, and another. But they just scare the hell out of you. As soon as you step through the door, may I help you? You'd be like, holy shit, But
Oh, it was startling. It was.
Rudy-
You remember when you took us? Where were we? Wichita, Kansas, and it was like in the hood or something. And you took us to whatever that place was, and I jumped out of the van and ran in, and you came and grabbed me like, no, you can't go
Yeah, it
run
was in
into
the
that
hood.
place like
I think
that.
that was Rudy's. A place called Rudy's Barbecue.
You remember that?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, or whatever. They had great food. That's why I have
But I
smokers
was
and
really
barbecue
impressed
everything
when
now because all that
when
time
you
with
gave
you
me that
down
sauce
south, I
and
was
stuff.
like, damn, this food is
I
really
said, man,
good.
this cat don't realize it. He didn't, just from tasting it so much, you remembered how it tasted until you got that. I don't know what you went through to get to that particular taste. Yeah. Huh? Crack the code.
Crack the code.
Yeah.
I cracked the
I
code.
I still got what? It's funny. I still
I'll
got
send
a
you the
couple
recipe
bottles.
if you want it. Yeah, it's pretty easy.
I-
Oh, you better throw that shit out. It's like
I still
fucking
use
10
it. I
years
think I might
expired
have a
now.
couple bottles left today.
You die if you eat that stuff.
No, I do.
I hope not. Oh, jeez. Well, shit, man. I appreciate you taking the time to do this podcast. This is cool. And I reached out to Tony Coleman, speaking of mentioning him earlier on. So I'm going to get Tony on.
He loves to talk. He loves
See
to
if
talk
he wants
about,
to get on and talk.
about the old days and all that stuff. I've heard some of his stories, and they have changed from the way
Yeah, no,
shit
we
really
love to hear
was,
those
you know.
stories.
They've been embellished.
Well, that happens with all of us, right? Things.
Yeah. So
I hear you. So
I'm
yeah, let's
March,
keep in
April,
touch,
somewhere around
and
there when the weather's kind of good, where I can drive
we'll do
down
an
and not
RJ
worry
thing
about going
in
through
the new
snow
year.
and all that stuff. You know, come close to Coca-Cola. But I love to get together with the guys, man. As many guys are still around, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and we can sit down and play some music, man, talk some shit, and
Let's do it. Yeah, because like I would say now, doing something in
really,
2025, that'll be 30 years
wow. You know what?
from
And
the
I still
time I
got
joined the band.
videotape
So joining
from
95.
Vegas. Yeah, yeah, man.
Oh fuck! When I wound up in the hospital with
Uh,
food poisoning and almost collapsed on stage, you
no,
got video of that. The
I
one
got
time
some
you
other
got
stuff
video,
too, but I got to figure out how to
delete
put
it.
it on disc. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'll
man.
do it for you. Give me
I'll
the
bring some of the
original
stuff
tape.
down because it's
I'll
you,
take
me,
care of it
you,
for you.
Ricky. That's when we had Ricky D in the band, and we pieces that way. Because me, we should play at blues club, and then they had a
Yeah.
reggae joint next door.
Yeah.
Fremont, yeah.
Yeah, you know, that was on Fremont Street. And I remember having my
Oh, I
rollerblades
remember
on the
you got
day off
chased
and
by a
getting chased
moose
by the
too
cops going
up there.
down Fremont
Bam.
Street on my rollerblades with my hockey stick.
I remember you come in, your suit was all dirty.
Oh, elk.
I
Yeah.
know.
Oh fuck, that was dude. I walked from the band house across that school field to get to Pete's Club, and all of a sudden I could hear this, whatever the sound is those things fucking make, and it was like right during the rut, right? And all of a sudden it's just like I hear like a couple big bulls come fucking running. I was like, oh shit, and I grabbed my guitar case and I jumped down in the fucking dirt laid by this fence as they all jumped
I
past
remember
me. There's probably 15 of them.
you
I was
came
like,
in
dude,
the
those things are
band
like
house and
700
you was all
pounds or something
dirty
crazy.
and shit,
And I showed up
grassy.
to the club all dirty.
Like, whatever you. You was breathing out hard and stuff. Your eyes was big.
At least I made it.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, that I'll never forget. That was scary as shit. Or when that was the same club
Yeah.
we were playing when that elk was sitting in front of our
Yep.
motel room.
Yep.
Remember, we sat in the van. I had that little laser light, and the thing just laid there and
Yeah.
was staring at the light. It wouldn't move.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, those are crazy times.
Yeah,
Cool.
man.
Well,
Whatever.
I'm
I'm
gonna
down for
let you
whatever you guys
go,
want to do.
and
Just let me know
yeah,
in
let's
time.
touch
I'll make
base
sure I
and
can
get some shows
set some
going in the
time
new year.
aside to do it. You know. Yeah.
Sure, yeah. Shoot me,
Cool.
shoot me
Sounds
some
good, man.
dates, March,
If
April,
you guys
that will work for you, and I'll
check
see
and
if I
see if Ivan
can
and all them
schedule
guys
something
will be
around it.
around. That'd be
Okay, man.
do something like that. You know. I definitely do it. And
Yeah, I'll
money's not a
drop some
big
notes.
factor. You know what I mean? So we could
Yeah,
just put something together, just to get together with the guys again would be great for me. You know. Yeah. All right. JBR. All
for
right,
sure.
man.
Yeah, let's do
All right.
it. Okay, man. Okay, have a good one.